I'll be our getaway car.
Yes.
Barry's our secret.
I knew we
right.
were friends for a reason.
So, what do you guys remember happening last?
Okay, so we were crossing. Oh yeah. So we got crossed on the bridge.
And
We asked who we should see.
Oh,
No,
I
I didn't
used
do anything.
persuasion and rolled super high.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh yeah, okay, come on.
Yeah, and then we went and we were resting on the lounge or something in a fancy ass room.
Yeah, like just waiting. And
Yeah,
that's
to talk
that's
to
where we
who was
collapsed in exhaustion. Some guy. Some aristocratic.
Was it a
daddy.
dragonborn? No.
Probably.
No, it wasn't because he was an. Wasn't, right? Not a dragonborn. He was not. Was he? Was he an
your
orc?
test annoying.
Nope. Well, I mean, not.
Half orc.
Oh, sorry. Was that? Did I set that down in the wrong spot? Is that mine?
I will forgive you.
You briefly observed a figure that was
You're in military garb.
reptilian,
Reptilian.
but not. But not a dragonborn.
Right. Okay.
He was draconic.
And eventually he's going to come talk to us. Yes. Okay. And we took a rest. So it doesn't matter about the spells, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Short rest. So do you guys have any hit point damage? Do you guys have any?
Not
damage?
yet.
Not yet.
Man, I'm shocked.
Avoided the slot.
I know you guys are good runners. You
We're
guys have
good.
avoided and
We're
dodged.
slippery.
Yeah, you guys have run away and
That's good, 'cause I'm squishy.
slipped through a ton of.
It's true. What is you?
You guys had a big combat right
What,
before you guys.
49?
Yes.
Oh,
And-
I'm only 59.
Well, that's from, but the extra 5, because I'm normally 44. But the 49 was because way when we started this whole battle thing up here, I remember I
Somebody
gave all
gave
of you, I gave all of you guys 5 HP. So we're still, I think, at 5 extra
that
HP.
lasts an hour though.
So
it's
when did
been,
it end then?
Like 14 hours ago.
Oh, okay.
During the big battle with the dragon instead.
So then it's not 49 anymore.
Yeah, it's 44.
So is mine 54 then?
You still have the temporary HP.
I-
What's
well,
your
then
max
that-
HP?
Then that
It says 59
same
too.
goes
Okay,
for
yeah, 59.
Hannah and Aaron too.
Yeah, you would have 64 if you had.
I just had it in my head that I wanted to remember that because we would get back to play and we would never remember that we had the extra points when we actually got in battle.
Right.
So this time I was like, okay,
Write it down.
remember
it. Yeah,
Yes.
the temporary health points, unless it states otherwise, they're temporary, so they only last the 1 hour duration. Unless it's a specific buff. But there's I don't know
Okay.
which ones do. So yeah, you're good.
Oh, it says times 2 per rest. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So you guys were left
Can
in
you
the
drop some?
William, it's from
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
yeah.
I would like to watch that at some point.
Me too. Do you have Hulu?
No.
I need somebody
I
with
pretty
Hulu
much
to
only
watch Veronica
insist-
Mars.
I'd like to watch that too. I've never seen that. I hear it's good.
So good, and they're doing a comeback episode.
I know. I heard about that. I'm
Comeback
excited because
movie.
Kristen
Ugh.
Bell.
Yeah, she's
But-
great, but that show just was not as good as
It was so good. It was so teen angsty.
Yeah, so teen angsty. If you're into that sort of thing, then you're gonna love it, and you are. So,
Probably. I don't know.
so
Love it.
you are in the parlor.
Sorry, honey.
No, you're good. And Persephone made a mess of the chase lounge.
Made a
As
mess.
She sat down upon it. You're covered in like ashes. And
Oh.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
like
right.
grime.
Well,
And you are like just like plop down onto this
like I plop
nice
down and goes.
on this nice
Yeah.
soft velvet chase lounge, dark blue, all nice. This is a very nice parlor lounge.
Just like home.
It's like you are noble. It's got like shiny marble floors that have been scuffed by your
this.
footprints as you come in, and it's got like a nice dark wooden table that's very finely engraved. There's like beautiful fresh flowers sitting on it. It's almost like a soundproof house because you get inside. Just the entryway is where you are, just like the first little entryway, and it is. You can't hear outside at all.
Ooh.
It's like quiet and it's peaceful. Somewhere in the house, there's some gentle music playing. It's just very calm. It's all very like what you'd imagine, like the very like cream-colored walls, and like the gold sconces for the lanterns, and the lanterns they're magically lit. They're not, there's no candles inside them. There's no flame. It's just like a magical light that you notice. Just very high class, very, very. I don't even know what the Baroque is. That the word? Where
Maybe.
It's not like all the
fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fancy
I think
pillars
so.
and
I don't know my
staircases and
historical periods that well.
It sounds
Or
great.
design.
very like sort of like this. That's what I'm imagining.
Oh
Not
yeah.
quite that, but like
Mm-hmm.
too far away. Like that though.
Romanesque.
Yeah, or like more like 16th century
It-
French.
Yeah, I was
You know,
gonna
like
say
very,
Italian French or something
Yeah.
like that. Some combination of those things.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait for cake.
Sarah, I love you so much. William, seriously, I can't tell you how many times when Sarah came to hang out the other Friday, where I was basically like, soul sister, soul sister, soul sister.
No.
It was usually about food, but
You guys I love you guys both so
Regardless.
much. You guys are alike in so many ways. You guys are great. I know you guys are kindred spirits. You don't have to tell me anymore.
I know, but it's just funny to me when
It's
we
hilarious.
pointed out like
Cracks
5,000
me
times.
up
And
every time.
I love it.
So,
All right, soul sister.
you sit on these couches.
Yes. So
and
we've
you're-
rested,
You're not
right?
alone. You were left alone. The three of you by the butler.
3.
Or not the butler. The,
Yeah, you, me, and the dwarf woman.
the young officer.
The Falcon is interested in without being there.
Okay. What would you guys like to do?
Or we're still just waiting.
You guys are
hanging
sitting
out.
on the chase lounges right now.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The officer said that the Lord Bennett will be with you soon,
Bennett.
and
That's it.
you guys are waiting.
We're
Can I
resting.
heal?
Give damage.
I had healing word. No. I have healing word though, and I would help the dwarfy. But do I have to be in battle to use it?
No, you can use it anytime.
I can ask
She
her if
was-
is she injured?
She was.
Oh, she was. I don't remember.
Can I do that? Is that helpful?
Sure.
We're just sitting here, might as well.
Yeah. You guys are getting a rest too, so you should use it before you get your rest, because it'll just restore that spell slot. If you want to go ahead and heal her, tell me what you do.
Sure.
1d4 plus spellcasting ability modifier.
Are you just gonna like cast it on her without telling her that you're just gonna do
Hey,
it?
is it okay if I heal you? Would you like some healing magic?
Sorry, just your face when you did. Would you like some healing magic? It's the only thing I could think of when you made that face. Okay, so you.
Here. My friend Lucy can she heal you? She's maybe a little abrupt.
So you guys just got in. You guys just got into this place. You guys have been maybe 2 or 3 minutes since you guys were sprinting all out
I guess we should ask your
across
name
the
first.
bridge away from Slod,
I
and you
think
like
so.
arrived, and she is like still like wide-eyed. She's not panting anymore, but she's like taking these like deep like gasping breaths, and she's just like she's like you guys like you walked over and was like plopped down onto this nice chase lounge, and you just like you're a noble, you're used to like their life, and you're like, oh Jesus fuck, and you're like okay.
And I'm like,
And you're like standing there, yeah, all imperious in your badass
With my
armor,
tail.
with your huge armor. Yeah, you do have a little
I'm
bit
a
of a
purple.
tail, huh?
well, I'm a purple monster. Like, let's
Yeah.
be real.
And this little dwarven gal is like, she's like got her hand resting against the wall, and she's like, and her eyes are
I'm
just
very
like
garnet.
super wide. You notice now, as you're looking at her, she is like tore up. Like she doesn't have any cuts or scratches. She's not bleeding anywhere, but her clothes are just torn. You know, and not like by choice. Like there's claw scratches at her arms, and it looks like the hem of her dress maybe got caught in a door, and she had to rip it free to escape. And she's bruised, and she's dirty, and she's pretty battered. She had you can see the remnants of these soft woolen slippers on her feet, not running shoes.
Yeah.
And she's just pretty out of sorts.
Question. Would you call dwarf women, for some reason what's coming in my head is the word dwaro dam or something like
Dwaro
that.
dam.
You ever heard of that?
I have heard that, but I don't know from where.
I was thinking that was it, but maybe I have it totally wrong. But that's what I was gonna say. Essentially I was gonna say something like dwaro dam or whatever, dwarf woman, whatever the right terminology is.
Mm-hmm.
And then here,
I
why
like
don't
it.
you sit down here, and I'm gonna get up and try to set her either my lounge or a chair or something.
So you just stand up after plopping down, and you just remember it. Okay. And
Right.
you stand up and you just grab her hand and very graciously lead her over to this other small love seat sofa
Yeah.
thing. It matches your chase lounge,
Here,
and you help her sit
sit.
down, and she just is completely overwhelmed by everything, and she just kind of sits wide-eyed.
Here,
and
Lucy, come on, do your
you're pretty tall,
what's your
aren't you,
thing?
Lucy?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're 6'5" or something.
Uh-huh.
You're huge for a tiefling. I remember
Well,
you
then-
saying you were tall.
I'm tall.
I'll try to
I
just
remember
sit
what.
next to her and kind of.
What's your name?
What's her name? So you,
Pardon me, dwarf woman. What is your name?
she looks up at you, and she blinks a few times and looks up and up and up. And she's my name's Lynn Davenshot. I'm Lynn Davenshot. She's like,
Well, let Lucy heal you,
Well,
Lim.
yeah, we want to hear your story, but can I heal you?
I don't think I'm not hurt. They didn't get me. I'm just.
Will the healing help her feel better in spirit?
It's your call. At the
We
end
could
of this
try,
resting
I mean.
period, when you're collected to go, you'll have taken a short rest. So
Okay.
if you want to use a spell.
I mean,
you
we
don't have
can
to worry about
try.
it being-
Okay, I assume it
I
can't
haven't ever
hurt.
used it in
Won't
this
hurt.
way, so we'll try it.
Okay, what do you do?
Lim,
How would you
What-
cast healing word on this first? It's a healing word. You have to speak. You don't have to do it.
Heal.
yeah. That's all I could think of was if you're standing above her and
I
you
think
just
I'll
be
just be health to you.
So you extend your hand
I
and you
like it.
wave it in this sort of vague motion, and she kind of looks up at you a little bit, and she's and then suddenly you see the welt on her head just disappear, and the bruises recede, and they go from purple to this dark faded yellow. It's been several weeks since she's had them, and you see some of the swollen patches on her arms and legs sort of decrease, and the scratches from scrabbling along rocks with her hands just fade away into these long thin cuts, and she immediately looks relieved and tired, but not pained.
Yeah.
And she takes several long deep breaths, and she kind of slumps over a little bit, and she just puts her head on her knees, on her elbows on her knees, and she just puts her head in her hands, and she just is you can't see her face anymore.
Do I have to roll?
Nope.
Oh.
You just,
Right there, Lim.
she wasn't actually
She
battle
doesn't-
damaged, but she
right.
was definitely fatigued, so. But, yeah, so, sure, her feet don't touch the floor, so she's just she's a little short.
Is there anywhere we can take you? Any other people that you'd like to meet up with?
No, I don't have anyone in the city anymore.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Well, we're taking people to the center of the city to be teleported out of here. Is that something that you want to do?
She like looks up and she's like, I would very much like to get out of this city.
Well, you're welcome to come with us. We still have a few more errands to run.
We'll be sending people there periodically, so you can always go with them too.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
That's what we're hoping to talk to the Lord Benneth about.
As you guys
Anyway.
are standing there, like you hear like the clinking of like glass and crystal, and from around a long, like out of a long hallway, this tall green dragonborn appears. He's got like kind of shiny scales, but they're not like bright shiny. And he like is wearing this really sharply tailored military uniform. And he comes in and he's holding a tray of like water in like a pitcher and several glasses, and he sets it down on the tray and he stands there and he clicks his heels and he like salutes you and he like slaps his fist over his chest and he turns sharply and he like walks back out and he has now water to drink.
Excellent.
So she goes,
Then I'm gonna sip my water because I'm thirsty. Sick.
Lim takes the glass and she's like shaking a little bit as she like pours the water. And she puts the so you all drink. You guys want to do anything else while you wait?
Well, I think we were just resting, right?
Does Lim want to talk more about her story?
Dang it.
You guys curious about her story?
Sure. So, Lim, can you tell us, like, what?
I'm sorry, you're just so much more gentle than my character, so.
That's fine.
Yeah,
I don't know
good.
that my
It
character's
works.
that gentle, but I keep thinking
More
in my
than-
head,
yeah.
like,
You're a bardic noble woman.
Yeah.
I mean, you
yeah,
have like
I can't help
people
it.
skills.
You're graceful.
And your main charisma stat is intimidation, so right? I mean,
So we're playing in
Persuasion.
character. We're
It's
doing well
persuasion.
then, right?
Not
Okay.
intimidation, persuasion.
yeah, okay.
But still.
Yeah. Dice Tower.
I love doing it.
Victory. So Lim, can you tell us what happened in the Inventors Guild? How did it start, or when did it start?
She finishes gulping out of her glass and she like sets it down. She like wipes her mouth a little bit and she notices she's like filthy and she like tries to kind of straighten out her dress a little bit. It looks like she's got like red rimmed eyes, and dark circles under her eyes. Her hair's a mess and she's just now realizing that she's not really like very presentable and she's kind of realizing where she's at a little bit, coming back more to like herself. I'm in a lord's manor, and I look like an urchin. And she, I'm an inventor, and I'm a member of the Inventors Guild, and that's my place of work. That's my place of business. I've been there since the creatures came into the city. One moment there was me and I was working on my autoloom and I heard crashing from the lobby and screams and shouts and I went into the hallway and several other members were there and I saw a claw.
Sorry.
The laughter on the track. Just bad timing.
It's just the type of laughter that made me laugh.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't
No,
mean to
you're good.
do that.
As she's telling you this, like 4 like heavily armed and armored half orcs like walk just straight past the hallway, and they all like glance at you and just like keep on walking. They don't stop, and they walk like down one hallway, with, like they're in formation, marching. And she tells you basically she saw one of her co-inventors get snatched through this doorway, and they the inventors in this block of workrooms fled the other direction, and they All of them got into this small back room, but the only way out was a small window into the loading bay, and she was the only small of stature person, and she was the only one able to crawl through. And they she barricaded the window, and the door was locked as it's a warehouse. And she doesn't give you all the details of exactly what happened, but you get the gist that she escaped just as everybody else was not escaping, and she was hiding out.
She was the only survivor.
Yeah, and she tells you that she briefly opened the door and tried to escape through the front because she was unable to escape through the loading bay. But as she went through, she recounts that she saw in the lobby area like a bunch of like large piled of splintered wood that had been packed into this lobby, lining it almost like a barricade. But as she got closer, she saw that it was like dripping with ooze that was holding it together, and she saw she couldn't see like past it. It was higher than what she could see, and she didn't want to touch it. But because she'd seen when people had done that before. But as she like saw that several of the slod tadpoles had climbed over the edge and began chasing her, and she just barely got the door closed before the tadpoles got to her, and she didn't try to escape or leave when it woke. And the next thing she knew, after probably 10 hours of waiting, was 2 people banging at this door, attracting all the attention of the slot in the building to her locked door.
Sorry. Our bad.
She leaves out a lot of details, and she's not very specific about. She's oddly specific about like naming people while they're alive, but then not specific at all about how they died or what happened.
Well, I'm sorry you had to go through that experience.
She takes like this deep. I'm certain that others have had just as harrowing experiences, and she like puts her head back down on her hands.
They have indeed. But
After
I got it.
drop your dice.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Just cracked my ankle. Shit.
You okay?
Yeah.
You guys want to ask anything else? Or?
I don't think so.
So as you guys are sitting there, she like puts her head back down on her knees, and then after a second, you just hear this.
She's probably been awake the whole time.
Yeah, that's true.
She falls asleep sitting on the chaise lounge or the sofa.
I'm gonna try and gently, without waking her, kind of let her lay back
Alright, so
before
you
she
like
falls over.
stand up and let her like lean down.
Yes.
Into this lay. You kind of because you arrange her nicely, so she's not gonna be uncomfortable, and you go back to sitting on the chaise lounge.
Are we surrounded? I can't remember. Sorry. What are we surrounded by? I understand that we're in a fancy area. We are but are there bookshelves? Are there?
There's no bookshelves. There's like a low table, like a coffee table that now has like a tray of water and glasses, and then there's
nothing to look at really.
Well, there's you're in like a small side room, and then by the side rooms there are hallways. So there's like one hallway. It's like you're in a square room. There's one hallway going this way, one hallway going this way, and it's like there's like a post in between them, so that it looks like there could be like French glass doors here to close you in for like some privacy, but they're not there right now. But there are the 2 hallways going past that you guys haven't really looked out, and then there's the front door where you can see looking out of the little parlor. You can see the front door, the large double doors.
Okay. I guess we have to wait.
Okay.
That's
what you choose? Okay.
To wait for a little while, then if I
You're
get
not gonna-
bored.
You're gonna go, okay. So you guys wait, and you guys can recover spell slots if you haven't already.
Okay.
Do you recover hit points? I think you guys have written all that.
Okay.
Yes.
How about while I wait, I'm gonna get out my... I can't remember. Do I still have all my stuff on me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just get out my my lyre.
Start playing.
Oh,
Just
okay.
kind of play.
So you hear
bit.
music coming from like another side of the house, but it's
Yeah.
really distant and it's really faint. And you pull out your lyre and you are just like idly playing. Like this is a short rest. It's not enough for you guys to get like a full night's sleep. You're just like taking a breather, and so you're just like in the style of bards of old. You're just plucking away a wandering tune, something light and a little sad, but not dark, not unhappy. Just a little accompaniment to help Lim get some rest. After a moment, you hear. Not a moment. You're playing. What are you doing, Lucy? Are you just
hanging.
Just hanging? So you are just like leaning against
You're
the
not
wall.
like stomping angrily or anything.
I'll leave that to Hannah. Or Persephone.
After a short time, about 40 minutes, an hour, you hear, like on silent footsteps almost, you see the green dragonborn appear again in the doorway. And he's got his hands clasped behind his back, military fashion. He marches in and he, ladies, and he like looks at the sleeping form and he steps back once and he like snaps and two small gnomish like maids come in with like a small blanket and like a wash basin, and he more quietly, and they're like quietly like setting up. He just like turns to you and he, if you ladies are ready, Lord Bennett is ready to see you.
Yes, I think so. Well, should we wash up first? Sure. So I'm gonna go
So
just to
wash.
Okay.
I feel like that my character would feel
Yeah.
the need to do that. You know
Yeah,
what
so
I mean?
you just like wash and make yourself a little presentable and get some of the grime off of you. You know.
Rebraid my hair. I don't know. Whatever.
As you guys are doing this, you don't notice, but the small gnomish maids have like wakened Lim and they've scurried her off into like a small, like another direction.
To let her go rest.
You heard them promising her like, let's get you some food and a bath. And, you know, they apologize, like, you know, maids. The Dragonborn is standing outside in the hallway at attention, waiting for you. You guys ready?
Yes. Lead on.
He nods and
Maestro.
he turns like super sharp and like very precisely with like military form, like marches down this hallway. And you guys march down the hallway, you take a left, and there's like this large, almost like entertainment space. There's like a few large instruments, and you see that there's like some kind of automatic instrument playing the gentle music that you'd heard very gently. It's like not an organ, not a pipe piano. It's just something in this like wall of instruments on the far side, and they're elegantly arranged. It looks as though a musician could come and pick it up. And
Are those common in noble establishments and such?
you are from a different kind of culture. So not the noble houses that you're aware of. You come from a culture where musicians are hired rather than made.
Got it.
You know,
Okay.
and you notice this is like the same sort of piece that's been playing.
Oh, okay.
As a bard, you've noticed it's like one piece that's being played over and over.
I was trying to figure out if, as we're passing things, if I'm trying to like look at it with curiosity, or you know what I mean, like,
Yeah,
or if because I was thinking if it's a common thing, then then she wouldn't
you would
care.
be interested
but
as a bard. You would notice like an instrument playing by itself. Like,
yeah.
If you're interested.
Like,
In this room,
you know,
it's like a large. It could almost be a
pass by.
ballroom, you know. And there's like a large fireplace on one side, and on the opposite side, there's a large staircase that leads up and around. And the Dragonborn, leads you to the steps and up the steps and down the hallway and around. And you hear, as you pass the upstairs, you see a bunch of like what could be rooms, and they're covered with like thin paper screens, sort of like in the Japanese stylings. And you hear voices gently coming from inside them, and things like dishes and silverware, and you hear paper rustling. You're not entirely certain what's going on behind these walls, but there are people there doing some things. And he leads you around the corner, and eventually you come to this large it's kind of out of place. It's like a large wooden door with like a steel facade over the top of it. And he walks up and he like gently like just twists this big knob. It looks like it should be heavy, but he just gently twists it and you hear this sharp click and the door swings open and he lets you inside. And as you walk inside, you see this deeply furnished blue and dark wood. It's a study. There's a large wooden desk in the center. Behind the desk is a shelf entirely filled with books. The desk has like a large map of the city, very similar to what you see here on it, although it is much more detailed in this district. In the Crane Ward, it is like highly detailed, and there are positions of troops, and there are lists of supplies in the margins, and there are tons of things. And you notice as you just glance at this map, you notice that there seems to be some kind of divide. You don't really understand what it is in the Crane Ward that is the division, but you notice that it seems that there are 3 groups according to this map, 3 different colors, and you're not entirely certain what denotes what. And behind the desk, next to a small fireplace on the far side of the wall, is standing the man that you, or the being that you've seen before, not a human. But he is facing away, and he is in the middle of replacing a few books up on the shelf. And you notice now he is standing there holding he's got a cane in one hand, and he's putting a book on the other. And he's, as you look at him, he's like hunched. You see his shoulders hunched, and his head doesn't come up like a normal humanoid's would. It like hunches forward a little bit. And you guys are let in, and as you are let in, the Dragonborn steps in behind you and closes the door behind him, and he stands there at attention behind the door.
Okay.
And so the being finishes replacing the book, and he slowly turns, and as he turns, you see this dark, like mottled green, reptilian, almost crocodilian face turn towards you. It's got like a longer snout, not like the Dragonborn, but very draconic still. And he looks very vaguely familiar, but you're not exactly why. And he turns to you, and he doesn't have a tail. He just has the normal humanoid form, other than that his shoulders are hunched. And he turns and he starts walking with the cane, and he walks over and he stands behind his maps and he looks at you both. He doesn't say anything. He just looks.
Lord Bennett, I presume?
You presume correctly.
Well, this is my companion Lucy, and I am Persephone.
Please make her acquaintance. What do you say to a word? I don't know.
The Archdrake tasked us and our other 2 companions who are in other parts of the city with helping evacuate everyone to the center. Has word reached you of this already?
Yes. Evacuation has come. Yes, word has been passed. Yes. Lucy.
My tail like flicks.
I love it.
I'm familiar with your work. I purchased several pieces for my men. Quite fine. And Persephone. And he like takes like this deep breath and like snorts it out a little bit.
You've heard of me somehow?
No, I've no heard of your family. But you are nobility. I can smell it.
I am.
Half and half orc and elvish.
Yes.
I wonder where your allegiances lie.
Lie?
And he like takes like a, you notice his mouth like is like long, and he's like, he doesn't have trouble pronouncing things, but it's like a lot more work for him to speak common. His mouth is like naturally shaped to speak Draconic, and he's having a hard time like pronouncing things. So he's working at it.
Speaking slower.
Yeah, speaking slower, and he's focusing more. But he is kind of like glaring. He's mostly dismissed you. He hasn't acknowledged the Dragonborn at all, and he is like glaring at you.
What do you mean where my allegiances lie? You mean between one race or another?
It is my belief that all, and he like turns and begins like clunk, 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 and he's like walking around the desk, and he's kind of hobbled with his cane. That each race has an affinity, a sway over the mind, and personalities within a being. I, for one, bear the blood of orcish kind. He like stops at the edge of the desk, and as you do, he stops, and you see that one of his feet is like clawed and doesn't have a boot. It's like a dragon's foot, like a thick dragon's foot, like a crocodile's foot rather than a dragon's foot. And he's got a normal boot on his other foot. And they're not the same shape. So that, like, it's not that he has like a stump leg or no leg or a gimp leg. He has an actual deformity. Like, his body is partially reptilian.
Interesting.
I can see you hesitate, and it makes me suspect that the elvish in you must be strong. Have you yet met my sister?
Your sister?
I wonder.
I don't know. Who is your sister?
He like glares at you. He doesn't say anything.
Who? Lord Bennett, I can't tell you if I've met your sister unless you say her name.
My sister, the Lady Asane, of elvish and draconic blood. She resides nearby and sometimes seeks to introduce those who might undermine my endeavors and affairs.
It's a little sibling rivalry, huh? I can't say I'm unfamiliar with that.
I can assure you we are just here on our
His
orders.
directives. To get everyone out.
He turns around. He hobbles, marches back around his desk, and he leans over his map. He smooths it out. I have gathered my troops and my constituents in a precisely organized caravan, but I am reluctant to leave my holdings in the city. If I leave, then my sister, and he glances at you, and he turns, and he's speaking to you, Lucy, will more than likely claim what is left of my remaining estates.
Well, you needn't worry about that. The Archdrake intends for all of the Cobalt to blow the city. To blow it up.
If you don't leave,
Your
the
estates
city
will
is
no
going
longer
to be
remain.
blown up. I mean, you can choose to do what you will. We are only here to spread the word and help escort people if necessary.
We're just passing on the message.
How am I to know that you are not sent by my esteemed blood to remove me from my holdings?
I suppose you're not.
It seems awfully convenient that my father would, at long last, send orders
Your father?
via... Yes.
Oh shit.
The Archdrake?
And he kind of grimaces and grins a little bit. It's like an ugly smile, and he didn't even tell you of our relations.
He didn't tell. There wasn't that much time, Lord Bennett.
I can see
He's
you're
injured.
not from here. Injured.
Yes,
Well,
the Slod appeared up there first, and the Archdrake fought off a black, Lucy? What color was it? Black? Death Slod. Thank you. But he's severely injured. So he gave all of us, me and my companions, a directive. 2 of them are down, went towards the Medica and the garrisons to gather as many civilians and objects from the archives and libraries and museums and whatever.
And I mean, you don't have to leave us. It's not going to be any skin off our back if you don't choose to stay, or if you choose to stay.
It's true. We've gone to the Academy of the Material, the Student Ward, the Arcane, the Artisans Guild, Inventors Guild, and now you, and on to the noble houses. You can choose to remain, but in a few weeks' time, it's going to be blown up.
We want our dwarf back. Sorry. Pods, can I make whipped cream? Or do you want me to wait?
how long does it take?
Not very long, like a second.
Okay, go ahead and make whipped cream. Yeah.
I'll run to the bathroom while we're...
Okay, bathroom break. Go.
It's now or never.
I knew it. I knew if I just waited a 1 second for your pause, I was going to catch you right on the beat.
You're very good at being intimidating.
Am I being TV?
Yeah. I'm like,
He's supposed to be unsettling.
yes. Well, you're doing a great job.
I've worked for literal fucking weeks to get this voice down. Probably more than that.
I love you so much.
I walk around at work and I'm like, wow. And people look at me. And I'm just like, nothing, bitch. Get out of my face. Don't judge me. I'm just a fucking weird custodian. Leave me alone.
Why I want to work alone?
Straighten this wall. Doesn't matter to me. Doesn't matter to me. I'm so excited for berries and cream and cake. Ugh.
Berries and cream?
Berries and cream and a cake is gonna be so good. Can you hand me that white cord? Wherever it went.
You want me to hand you?
I'm gonna just, never mind, I'm just gonna plug my pump in.
Oh. See, that was like the perfect.
Oh!
Perfect,
Sarah said I'm very intimidating and I'm very flattered.
You're what?
Very, very intimidating.
Yes.
I'm very flattered.
Yes.
Whenever you guys are ready to start again. We can go.
What was the last thing we said, basically? We
You
were
were just telling
explaining
him.
him,
You were
telling
just
him all
telling
the
him
things,
your
right?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to like get this on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No,
you need
you're
to do there?
fine.
What?
Any more noises that
No,
you
no
need?
more
Okay.
noises.
So he's just.
lawfully obedient servants of a foreign ruler you are.
We'd like to help. That's all.
You are very helpful. You helped that poor dwarven maid out of her precarious situation.
Yes. And hopefully
What
she will not be the last.
kindly souls. My plan is to take my troops through the north gate.
And he grabs like this really fucking fancy dancy pointer. He doesn't need it. It's like this fancy thing, and he like moves his troop figures. His little, you notice like all these little figurines are like little battle figurines, like little like, and they're all like shaped in specific arrangements, and he like moves them along a path he's plotted to the north gate.
I don't know if my memory is this good, but can I, since we're looking at the map and seeing things about this, what'd you call it, a ward, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna try and take note of what I can.
Okay. So you
so
notice.
that I know what else is going on, because obviously he's very suspicious. So.
Yes. So you notice in this ward, it's a little bit more like larger. This is like disproportionately large compared to the rest of the city.
Right.
And you notice that there is like barricades listed at each river crossing into the ward. He like is covered this entire area with his own troops, and then there's a few troop designations in here, and there's
this portion, or are they?
They're
this,
is
right?
the ward
That's
itself,
what I
but he
thought.
has several, like the bridges are locked down, and then he's got this gate and this gate locked down. You notice that like, and his colors are like blue and this dark metallic gray, and then there's another color which is like this light, not lime green, but like light forest green, and then it's like a cream colored, and then there is like red, and they're like shapeless like tokens, like the red are, and the red are like everywhere else. Assume,
so the
including
red
in
are
the
probably
temple
just
district. Like
flawed.
they just it looks like he just thinks that like the whole place is taken over. Like the whole place is a battle zone, and he's got like, you notice as you're looking at it, you notice if you're looking at what is stationed here, and from what you saw, about 200 soldiers around the grounds outside, he's probably got about 1,000 soldiers just in his employ. So he's got a number of troops, a lot. And you notice he's got like wagons designated here, and then you notice that the green and cream is like this section of the city and the gate, and you get the feeling that maybe that's where his sister is.
The green, the lime, and the...
Yes,
that
and then
just
there's
looks
like one figure that's sitting on top of this building that is like this sort of amorphous, winged, draconic figure. It's not really well defined, but it's got
on the noble?
Standing on atop this house. And then you notice that the figures that he has marking the green and the cream are fair-haired and fair-skinned, and they have bows and
Okay.
yeah. And so and it's very different from the figures. He's got orcs, and he's got some dwarves, and he's got some horses, and he's got like various figures,
So you
but
said
none
there
of
were
but you
three
notice
colors, right?
yeah.
What was red one of them?
Red was
So
one.
it was basically him and his sisters, the mapping he has. Okay.
And he's put an extraordinary, like, it's like a specific like region. It's like down this way, and then like this. It's like specifically denoted what belongs, like, or where those troops are here. I wish I had a green marker, but I don't. So let's have to do. He's got it marked.
One that's bluish.
I got one that's blue, like that. And so it's like this area. Oh, thanks, love. That would have been perfect.
Yeah, do it over it.
And then there's like, yeah. There we go.
Got it.
And so like there's this area, which is his sisters, and then there's this area, which is his, and then everything else in his thing is red.
Okay.
And so you're looking at this, and you see that there are not nearly as many figures, as far as he's concerned, in her category, in her colors. But his path out is blocked by there, and it looks like he's been, like, he's got lists of like who's stationed where and what's going on in this area. He's got a list of like names that are like highlighted in green along one side of the map that are, and then like numbers, and then like numbers denoting where each individual seems to be, or they seem to be like officers or commanders. And you can tell that he's got pretty decent information.
He's more worried about, as far as like his troops are there to protect him from his sister, not so much from Islam.
Yeah. One of the things that you would know, Lucy, being a merchant in this city, is that the trade in this city, the Archdrake controls all of the Dragonborn directly. But you know that the nobles, and there are several, but in the city, are in charge of maintaining the trade of the city. Everybody has to pay a tithe to the Archdrake, but the people who collect the actual profits from them are the noble houses. And there's 8 of them, but there's only really 2, and each of them have 3 subjugated houses that follow them. And you know that that they are in contest. They're in conflict with one another over the running of
The city and
affairs. Yeah. And one of them, the one that you're concerned with, purchases weapons and arms, and he controls the river trade. And then the other, who you're not very familiar with at all, controls the trade on the island itself. So this is a great island. It's like the size of Great Britain. And all of the, like, this is at the very southernmost point of it, and all of the trade leaving goes out this north gate. So the entire economy is based off of what goes out this north gate, pretty much. And everything coming in and out of the city from foreign nations, and the large export of magical goods and skilled warriors and exports and imports nationally comes through the rivers, which is controlled by Benneth. And you, Lucy, being familiar, because you were hired by a military man to create armor for the Archdrake. I love you. Oh, it's so cute. Okay, alright. So this is all just background that you just know.
Okay.
And by looking over his map, you see that it is reflected. That's why he has the bridges locked down. He is like, he's got like a presence at each of them, but it only extends out to this bridge here. It doesn't have anything more than that, and it's like cut off here. So his presence actually is like, his military presence is actually like all the way down there. Right there.
Alright.
Okay, that's a little bit of back. That's like an info dump. You got it now. Go ahead and ask your questions or whatever.
So
You understand he's highly suspicious of his sister. He's got a caravan prepared to leave via the north gate. Sounds like he's going to fight his way out, or that was his plan initially. And he is unconvinced that this isn't a ploy to get him to retreat so that she can either take over more of his territory or hit him while he's retreating in an opposite direction. He's very suspicious, and he's not very happy. You do know that he would be a great asset.
Right. My Lord Benneth.
Holy goddamn. Strawberries, blueberries, cream. Cake.
I've never met your sister. Ow.
Sorry, it's super hard to be this character, intimidating and malicious. Not malicious, but militaristic when I'm eating berry confection.
Yes.
Ooh, I like that. Berry confection.
Groovy berry goodness. As Pete would say.
Gotta love Pete.
Tastes great.
This cake.
The cake's good, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a little crumbly.
It's called a sponge cake.
I probably wouldn't like it if it wasn't with the cream.
Well, yeah.
But dang.
Yeah. What a fancy dessert for our fancy
Our
D&D.
fancy noble party.
Mm-hmm.
I did it on purpose.
I forgot what I was saying.
Lord Bernhardt.
Bernhardt?
Yeah.
I can tell you've been listening to the Wheel of Time.
Meh.
Beth.
I know.
Bernhardt's from the Wheel of Time, you cutie.
Oh my god.
Oh, you ate that quick.
Yeah, do you even enjoy it?
Yes?
Eat
Did you
it
hear
fast.
you didn't hear my half orgasmic grunts of pleasure?
I mean,
Oh my god. Yep.
I have a character
Yes?
to be. We're playing D&D. Okay? Time's a ticking.
okay,
You guys can keep eating your fancy dish.
same. Lord Benneth, I can assure you that I have never met your sister. I don't recognize her name. Certainly. And I didn't know anyone in this city until I came here. Didn't even know Lucy until I came here to the city.
If necessary, could you enthrall him?
Possibly. Maybe. I don't know. He might be more powerful than that. If he's the Archdrake's son.
I mean, I'm pretty persuasive. But
well, I'm trying to see, like, I guess we technically, our characters don't have time to talk about it, do we? But
like, is there any way that you can?
You guys can
I'm trying
convince
to,
him?
well, I'm just going to ask him to say, is there anything I can do to reassure you? What would that be?
What kind of proof could you possibly give?
Yes. Yeah, what kind of proof could I possibly give you?
He, like, grins.
Oh lordy.
Like, it's an ugly grin.
And
It's like a toothy, wide,
let me preface this
kind of distorted grin.
We're busy.
by saying that I have my own orders to care for the people of this city. I have no intention of deceiving or blackmailing or,
Spending extra time doing shit.
yes, spending
If
extra effort.
You have truly never been introduced to my sibling. Then I presume she is the next stop on your orders.
She is, I assume.
If that's the case, then I do have some small task you can do to convince me that you are not working for my sister.
You have a small task. There's
Well,
nothing I can do to prove to you right now.
in this, I think our goals can come into tactical alignment. Should you convince my sister?
Nope, not on my nose. Mm-mm. I'm acting.
I know, if you were truly an actor, you would have kept going.
I am not a real actor. I am not even a fake one. I barely hold it together by strings of my vocal cords. Okay? God damn. I wanted you to do it too. I just wanted. What was I saying? Oh man, fucking woman.
If you can convince my sister,
If you can convince my sister to precede us to the temple ward, it would allay my fears of physical combat as a repercussion of her treachery.
You were more worried about your sister than the Slod
The
attacking your people?
Slod are a knife. They can be seen coming from a distance. They attack blindly. They are not but a mass of bestial viciousness. My sister is a well-hidden fang. Her treachery is deep and vivacious. I have underestimated her before, to my detriment.
And he like pulls back his sleeve slightly over his cane arm, and you see this like large, well-mended, like black scar in his scales. And he like grins this grin, and he like pulls his sleeve back down.
I will follow with all my troops and my supplies and my constituents, as long as you can guarantee us separation, segregation of our peoples during this evacuation. These are my offering terms. Take them or leave them. I have decided.
I mean, where are we supposed to go after this? To that area.
Yeah, this is the sisters. So this is the part William was telling me about the map that I could see because I was kind of looking and trying to memorize it while I could. And this is the sisters area that controls all the trade out there. And then the Lord Benneth controls all the trade on the river. And so all his troops are spread out here. So yeah, we're
we
headed
worrying
there
about
next.
this?
He has
Not
many
yet.
more troops.
I
Is
think
anybody worrying about this part?
I think
Are
the
you worried about
commander is. Remember what was the commander's name? The orc who was up there. I think he sent.
Coltane. He sent
Coltane.
Corporal List and a mage. He sent Colonel Culp.
So he.
Or people?
I think he was establishing this area. Valken and Faye were going this way, and then we were going this way. So there was like at least, yeah.
So it's our job to escort.
I don't think we have to escort them. We just have to tell them the plan from the Archdrake, right?
Is that what you took away from it?
Yeah.
The discussion we had.
It's been so long. That's the
Yeah,
real
I was gonna
problem.
say,
It's not the.
I'll give you a brief overview. You
Yeah.
guys were instructed to get as many refugees to the Temple Ward as possible. Aaron and Hannah, with Falcon and Faye, went the gather and escort. They sent some groups. You guys have been doing purely the send, like, just go
Well, they've
over there,
already
guys.
been gone.
Right.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Why? So if the Archdrake can like talk to
The Dragon
the
Board.
Dragonborn,
How is it he didn't talk to his own children?
and can they
It's a
talk to
great
him?
question. It's not.
That's an excellent question.
Not.
Sir Bennett. I'm gonna get the name wrong every time. Bennett.
But actually, I like this. If Lucy's sort of like ticked off,
Lord Bennett.
and
Saying it wrong
Persephone's just
every time.
Right.
Baba.
and Persephone's just gonna be like she's gonna find it amusing, but she's also gonna be like,
Oh god, oh god, oh god. Like,
We're
all gonna die.
Just gonna piss off the crocodile man. You're like over here, the noble, and you're like, that's just too good. And Lucy's just like, yeah, I've got a hammer. And it's my tongue, actually. So.
And like, I like the idea though of you like
I am the
clearly
anvil,
like
like-
not knowing, but not knowing like noble etiquette or court
Yeah, that's
etiquette, and so
true.
you're like, Sir Bennett, yeah,
You.
and that's
You.
not like do you know what I mean? Like, because courts
Yeah.
have like
Yeah.
very specific ways of addressing people. Like,
Sir Bennett
I was
versus
almost
Lord.
gonna ask you like when we
Sir.
entered, like if he didn't start talking, if I was gonna have to do like some sort of a
Ritual.
bow or like
Mhm.
because yeah.
I was gonna see if you were gonna
Well,
do something like that. But
What I was trying to go with is that the only clue I had was that he was a lord, but that could be he could be the son of any ranking, basically. Like if somebody is a duke, you can call them your grace. If they're a marquis, you can call them
I do have
I
rules
can't remember,
on this,
but-
and
but-
it's gonna be important.
later or something.
Well, I mean, it could be
probably,
important
right?
now. If
but
you
see,
were gonna
that's
make
what
it
I was
important, it was
going
gonna
off
be
of in
important.
my head was that all I know is that he was a lord, and then he started talking and forgot all about it anyway. But I like the idea of Lucy not, and therefore this happening.
I like it.
I love it.
So, Lord Bernhardt.
His head like swings when he moves. Like his whole like body moves. He doesn't really have like a neck. It like turns a little, and like his head does, and then he like turns his shoulders to like.
I've noticed that the Archdrake is capable of communicating with other Dragonborn, even if they are not.
He like straightens
With
up
him.
and like grabs his cane.
Why has he not communicated with you and your dear sister?
He
Or why do you not communicate with him and ask him if we're legitimate?
He turns to the Dragonborn, the green Dragonborn, standing in the by the door, and he says, "Sergeant Silvius, present yourself." And he Sergeant Silvius he's standing at ease. He like snaps to attention and like marches over. He stands at the edge of the desk, and he like he stands there. And he in like a perfect continental accent. He's just like. Sergeant Silvius Bravo reporting. It's just like the picture of like military discipline. I'm thinking it's the chickens outside because the windows are open. Yeah, I'm just like, geez,
Whenever they lay eggs, they're like,
They were like, I'm working at this.
yeah, seriously.
to be fair,
William and I, well, mostly William, chased the chickens around today to cut their wings, to clip them.
Oh,
I eventually just
today.
chased them into their
Well,
box
they're
and
eating my
locked them out.
garden. Little shithead.
Little punk.
They ate
that
my
hurt
first
them?
pepper. No.
It's like cutting hair.
Just
fingernails.
feathers.
oh.
Feathers are
They
made of the
can't
same
hurt
stuff as
him.
fingernails are.
You can, when you spread their wings out, you can see like where the
Actual meat and
meat and
nerves
the
are.
bones
Oh.
are, and then it's just feathers.
I mean, if you
that
cut
go
it there, it's like
past that.
clipping a cat's toenails. It's exactly the same.
Yeah, it's the same kind of material.
Except for you
Anyways.
scissors instead.
Mm-hmm. But then that will prevent them from being able to fly enough to get over the. Got it. Yeah.
Punk little bitches.
Ate my fucking pepper.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
So the
And they were
dragon.
chewing on the. Never mind.
So the Dragonborn is standing at perfect attention, and Lord Bennett walks like a step over to him and looks up, and you realize, you notice, the Dragonborn are all fairly tall, and Lord Bennett is slightly shorter. Actually, he's actually shorter than both of you because he's a little hunched, and he looks up and he goes, he looks at the sergeant and he says,
Sergeant, why don't you inform these ladies of your orders regarding my father's messages?
and the Dragonborn turns to you and looks down, and he doesn't look down at you. He looks down towards you a little bit, and he says, "I am under strict orders to not relay any information from the Archdrake given to me telepathically to the Lord Bennett, unless specifically instructed to do so." And Bennett kind of has his ugly grin again, and he.
As a result of my father's experimentation with the races, any offspring that he didn't create himself. And he kind of like glares up at Sylvius and he like looks back and he like gestures to himself. We have certain disfigurements, as you might say, one of which being a link to my father's mind that is non-existent. He honors us as his blood, but we are not his offspring, as it were.
It's awfully confusing.
And Sylvius, after a moment, like looks towards Lord Benneth, and Lord Benneth like nods, and Sylvius turns and he says, Dragonborn, myself, the other Dragonborn you've seen, are created magically as constructs, organically made constructs, as offspring of the Lord Archdrake. But when the Archdrake, he like has this like long pause as he really thinks about what he wants to say here, has more intimate dalliances with members of other races. Half-dragon. And he looks and like very respectfully nods towards Lord Benneth. Half-dragons are the result. And like Bennett has this like like cackling laugh, and he like stumps back over, and he like leans over the desk at you, Persephone, and he's like, "See, girl, I am the result of my father finding a orcish friend to experiment with, and my sister." And he glares at you, and he like flicks a glare at Persephone and then back at you, is a result of his friendship with an elven wench. He seems to have preferred her company more than mine, as I apparently inherited the features he likes least about dragonkind. And he like whirls around and like moves like this little statuette on this little shelf, and he is half cackling madly to himself, half like bitterly grinning. It seems like this is
Great.
maybe a little family.
If the Archdrake prefers the daughter, then why does he have more land than her?
Are you asking me? Or are you asking me?
I'm asking. I guess I'll ask him. If the Archdrake prefers your sister over you, why do you hold more land than she?
He turns his head. He looks over his shoulder at you, and you notice now his eyes are
This
kind
is
of
like,
forward.
we're asking stupid questions.
His eyes are like kind of forward facing, but they're kind of crocodilian too, so they're still like kind of. So he like turns his head. And he like he can see you fully, and he like you see this big grin because you can see his whole side of his face. And he's like, strategy, my dear girl, strategy and tactical thinking. And he looks down and he picks up a book from the shelf. And he turns around and he like drops it on the desk. And you both recognize it. It's basically this world's version of The Art of War. It's like a tome about warfare. And it's, I have a name for it, but I cannot remember it off the top of my head. I don't want to look because I'm like into the acting. And he, when we began our respective lives as merchants of treasure, we had equal holdings, but my wise and benevolent sister focused on
Oh, sorry.
trade with the people of this island.
That happened in the game.
Lucy just like lets out a belch, and he like looks up at you,
And he like glares hard.
They're just like.
And he like, I see you're in no mood for a history lesson. And so he like picks up the book and he like turns around and like puts it back. And he like stands up and he says, my offer stands. Convince my sister to lead us to the temple ward, and we will follow. That is my offer. If she does not, then we will have no choice but to follow our own plans.
I mean, I don't
So-
care.
Well,
what
I
they
think
do,
so.
but-
Like I look at Lucy and we sort of. Very well. We'll accept your offer. If it makes you feel
What
any
are we
better.
doing after we talk to his sister? Are we heading back there anyways?
Yeah, I think so.
So we're like, well, that's where we're heading anyways. So we'll accompany for the time being. No promises. Fucking hell, like,
Never make promises before you can deliver. A wise perspective, Hellion. Is there anything else before I dismiss you?
can we have our friend back? Where's our dwarf?
The dwarfen lass is being properly clothed and bathed. She seems to have gone through quite an ordeal.
Yes.
I know her of a woman of some little renown. Fine work, I've been told. If you do not wish to keep her company, I can provide safe lodgings for her if you might be weighed down by her. You seem to be fighting sorts. And he like gives you another grin. Ghastly, I would use to describe this one. And she seems a little at ends with herself.
That's certainly true. I think she
I mean,
will be safer with in your caravan for the time being, but
It's up to her.
let us ask her what she would like to do.
He nods. I will have her meet you by the entrance of my home.
Thank you.
Very well. Thank you.
When do we leave?
And he looks at the Dragonborn. He's, Sergeant Silvius, you may escort these guests out. And you see him grinning. And as you guys follow the Dragonborn out, he opens the door for you and stands there, and he's grinning. He's standing there with his cane, grinning. The door closes. And right as the door closes, you see him kind of start to cackle. You don't hear him, he just... And then the door closes.
It's fucking insane. Working with an insane.
So we're walking
Sergeant
down the
Silvis,
hallway.
as he closes the door, he says, if you'll follow me, he leads you back around the corner, down the stairs. You hear the music playing. You hear laughter coming through the paper screens of the doors. And you are led down the hallway. As you arrive at the thing, a maid is just disappearing as Lynn is standing in the parlor, which is now perfectly spotless again. And she's standing there, like wringing her hands a little, looking very out of place. She's wearing like a fresh dress. She has her hair. It's not done fancy. It's just clean, and it's kind of like up in a little ponytail bun thing. It's what you do? What do you call it? Messy bun. It's just kind of up like in a working woman's fashion, and she's got like nice, sturdy clothes on. She's got like nice walking boots on now, and she's got a small satchel that's like not empty, but it looks like it maybe has a little bit of something in it. But she looks like they were getting her ready to be part of the caravan. Traveling clothes.
Yeah.
Well-made traveling clothes.
Lynn,
When she sees you, her eyes widen and she kind of perks up a little bit.
how are you? How do you feel?
I feel much better, thank you. I feel I feel lighter.
Good.
Her face, she's excited to see you, but she's still grim. Not
Yeah.
nearly as frazzled. Much more in control of herself, but... I heard that they take you to see the Lord. Bennett himself. How was he? Is he...
It was an experience.
I've heard he can be quite the force.
Yes, indeed. You could say that.
That's quite the character. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right? But we will be heading toward the noble parliament shortly. We wanted to make sure you were well cared for before we left, though, and to give you the choice that...
Are you planning on going without me? I... And she, looks around a little bit. I'm like...
Would you like to stay with the caravan here? They will be heading in the same... to the center of the city, to the Archdrake's... What do you call it?
The Archdrake's
Temple. The temple. I always forget that. To the temple ward. And we will be after we've been to the noble parliament. But you can go now if you'd like.
And you're not joining the caravan itself?
Not right now, no. We're going to the noble parliament, like I said. We have to go there first on the Archdrake's orders.
Oh, well, I mean, I wouldn't want to trouble you at all if
You'd like to come with us?
And she looks a little sheepish a little bit. And you rescued me. If you think it's better for me to stay, I'll stay. But if you have need of a clever hand, I can be of use, maybe. And she looks back and forth between the two of you, and she's, I just don't feel right having done nothing after you helped me. And I feel I don't want to be in your debt.
Oh.
Without... I can help. I'm clever with my hands. If you find locked doors, I can help you open them. I know the city fairly well. I am familiar with several not very prominent members of society, but I know some people. My work is gaining in renown. I've been working very hard. I could be of some small service if you need any. But of course I don't want to put on you either. I know you're both much more well.
You're welcome. I will warn you that you may be still safer if you join the caravan rather than us. We may encounter Slod and do battle, but I suppose you may end up doing that anyway. Just so you're aware.
Well, I will go with you if you will have me.
Very well. Then you can come with us if you
She
like.
sits up a little straighter, and she reaches into her bag and pulls out this really small, not even a dagger. It's a barely a hunting knife. It's just this little, and she tries to tuck it in her little belt. And she straightens up and she slings her bag over her shoulder. I mean, she's a little dwarven woman, and she's she's not broad, she's not a dwarven, hulking dwarven man, but she's she doesn't have any armor, she's got walking boots, and she's got a stout tunic, and she is...
We might need to get you some weapons, though, just in case. If we can find any. What do you think, Lucy?
Weapon?
Weapons? Or maybe a little bit of armor for our squishy friend?
Are you talking to
Lucy.
Lucy?
Yeah. We're only headed...
I have my fucking trunk.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, I can call it back.
You can't. It has to be within verbal distance of you giving commands.
But I need to have the vision of it just crashing through.
Lord Benny's house. Just fucking smash.
I'll be like, what? I can't put it on it.
What? It's gonna be gone in a few weeks anyway. Jesus.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
I love your attitude, Lucy. As you guys are standing there discussing armor, Sergeant Sylvia's like,
Sergeant? Yes?
and he looks down and, I don't want to impose, but if you, and he looks at Lynn, ma'am, need armaments, we might be able to provide something.
Would you? That'd be excellent. Just enough that she's somewhat safer than she is now.
Of course. And he, like, kind of, like, leans back a little bit and, like, glances down the hallways, and he's like, if you follow me, and, like leans in, and he, like, walks. And he leads you through the house. So you guys follow him through these, it's actually fairly winding. It's, like, a little bit of a maze in here. It's, like, very small hallways. They all look the same, but they're really well gilded, and they all have, like, very similar, like, mirrors on the wall with, like, gilded frames, and, like, the walls have, like, these pillars up alongside them, and these paper sliding doors that can be moved open and closed. And you go through probably 14 or 15 separate hallways in this huge, shockingly huge building, and they, like, wind back and forth, and he finally leads you to this one paper screen, and he steps to the side and opens the sliding door, and he ushers you in quickly. And he steps in and he closes the door, and you guys are now inside a very long, very well-stocked armory. And there's a small desk at the very front, and hold on 1 second. There is a gnomish.
Cheez-Its if you want.
There's a gnomish.
No, I can't. Thank you, though.
Oh, I suppose you can't, can you? Damn it. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
There's a gnomish man.
I love chips.
Or wait, hold on.
Thank you.
There's a little gnomish girl in sharp military attire, sitting at this small desk with this huge, like, ledger book, and she's, like, filling out like what looks like requisition slips. This is the requisitions officer, and he steps up and is just like, Private Minia, and she just, like, looks up at him and she goes, Sergeant Sylvius, and she looks at you three. Friends, what can I do for you? And Sergeant Sylvius, like, looking very proper, is like, I have come to requisition a few defensive items for a small friend of ours. And he looks down at the unarmored figure of the dwarf, and she... Limb, yeah. And the small gnome, like, looks around and she goes, Oh, that's Erin.
Oh.
And she looks around and she says, Sylvius, we can't be handing out arms and armor to any passerby who happens through.
I was right.
Oh. I'm gonna use it. Thank
Good
you.
job, me.
Good job, you. Doro down. That's good.
Good memory. How's it going?
Okay, sorry.
So she just tells List off a little, or not List, excuse me, she tells Sylvius off a little bit, going on about, like, you can't just keep handing out arms and armor to any passerby who needs help, even
Yes, you
though
can.
it's
You're
like
welcome to
a
sit.
well-stocked, hugely long armor. What's up, dude?
I'm not trying to interrupt.
That's okay.
Dude, you can sit and listen. Unless you have something that's specific to talk about.
I want to hear what happened. Or happening.
Good boy.
He wants to catch you up?
You missed a huge input up. You're gonna have to wait. I'm in the middle of something. I'm in the middle of two NPCs interacting, which has nothing to do with the players. No, but really though. So they sit there and they argue for a minute, and it seems like they get into like this whispered conversation, and it looks like at some point he like shrugs and like rolls his eyes and like,
The water's hot if you want
fine.
tea.
And like after a moment she grins and like and she's like, come on back then. And she like as he goes by she
arguing
like
with the sergeant.
because he apparently
no
has been
sugar
giving
added?
arms and armor to people who
What?
need it but
Okay.
aren't part of
Where?
the military.
I'm just thinking a lowly
Force here.
private.
Hardboard box.
Well,
Is
she's
it cardboard
the
box?
requisitions officer. She gets to say who takes what, and she has to be answerable for it. As he passes, though, she reaches up and she just smacks his ass as he walks past, and he just like jerks a little bit. And he's just like,
And he like marches on past.
Oh, I like it.
It's not like sexual. It's like this is like one of the boys' military baseball group kind of thing. She's like, they just had a discussion, and now he owes her another favor because he keeps getting her in trouble for handing out arms to unarmed people. So he walks down, and as he walks, he
Cheers.
walks down this long armory, and Lynn is looking around. She is like very intimidating. There is Lucy in her bloodstained, dust-covered, grimy armor, which is super magnificent, by the way. And there's
I made it.
Persephone in her medium or light armor. I don't even know. It's just like nice. But you guys have like big, obviously combat-ready weapons, and she's got this tiny little knife. And he is marching down, and
I don't think I have armor, do I?
You should have light or medium armor proficiency.
I don't remember.
It's,
I have an 11.
Yeah.
There.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you got light armor then.
Okay.
That's good. It's mostly just for your armor class, but I'm just imagining you fighting in like light cloth, heavy, easy movement. And he is like muttering to himself, and he like stops at a set of like heavy armor, and he looks at her, and he's like, "Oh, she's a dwarf. That's quite a weight." And he like continues on, and eventually he settles on. He gets her like a small like leather curious, just like it slips over her. It'll stop up anything with like small leather pauldrons, and it kind of goes underneath of her large cloak or her traveling cloak. And he gets her a couple of like wrist braces. He gives her like a proper dagger, and then he finally gets to this point, and he turns to her. "Are you any hand with the bow?" And she just like shakes her head, and he turns. And so instead of turning the bow, he turns around and he picks up like this large round shield. It's like right in between the size of a buckler and a full-size shield, and he turns and he hands it to her, and he goes, you should carry this. It can be slung across your back to defend yourself as you flee or as you move into position, and it can be slung forward over your arm to be used to defend yourself from harm. It's very simple to use, and yes.
I want this since you just ate the variation cream.
Thank you. I bolus for it, but
Oh, you did?
it'll probably
Okay.
still be higher because I never bolus enough.
I didn't realize.
The
Sorry.
diabetes has got me.
I thought you had taken it off before.
No, thanks. I will. I'm tired of it yelling though. I mean, it's got the
80%.
battery back.
Oh.
So she takes the shield and she slings it over her back, and she like kind of bounces and shifts. And she's, it feels right. And so he like. So you guys leave, and as you go back out, the requisitions officer reaches up to like smack his ass again as he passes, and he just smacks his hand backward and like smacks it out. And he's like, I'll be back. And they like leave. It seems to be kind of like a friendly like, you know.
Like they're friends.
Yeah. So he leads you back through the winding maze of really beautifully gilded hallways, and you end up at a different door. And he opens the door and lets you out, and he nods and he says, "We've taken the liberty of acquiring an escort for you to the Lady Asane's residence. You shouldn't meet any danger. There have been no incursions through our perimeter in the ward, but just for safety and speed's sake." And he just nods to you, and he's just and he just says,
An escort to the lady's house. Got it.
"Watch Drake's blessing." And he turns and he marches off.
Thank you, Sergeant.
There are 3 half-orc soldiers standing at attention.
Lucy salutes.
Pikemen, and they are what? Lucy salutes. There are 3 pikemen, half-orc, that are standing by, waiting to escort you to the Lady Asane's house.
Very well, gents. Lead on.
Okay, so you guys head on off. It's just a few blocks. It's not very far at all. And you guys march your way through the city. It is interesting because it is like a flurry of activity, but in complete order too. Everything is moving
I'll be back in
towards.
10.
Okay.
I'll be back in 10.
There's like a flurry of activity moving toward one location, and everybody is like, people are getting bedrolls ready, and everything seems like interesting. Like there are plenty of supplies. There are a ton of things, and they all look identical. Traveling cloaks that are being put onto the nobility and the upper class of the area. People are carrying packs that are identical, bedrolls that are identical. All the troops you see seem to be a part of one unified military force, which is interesting because they all have separate emblems on their breastplates, and there are different banners, but they all are in the colors of Lord Benneth, and they are coordinating and helping people move around. You don't see any officials; you just see military. Cool. And as you are pushing your way through this crowd, you're not really pushing; they're parting before you, and you walk through. And after like the chaos and the combat of the city, it seems chaotic and loud, but not dangerous at all. It takes you about 15 minutes to cross through the crowds to the Lady Bennett's, and as you approach, you see a large, tall, square structure, and it has, at the very top, it has a dragon in the shape of a bright gold dragon in the shape of the archdrake, circling the top, like as a statue. It's like circling it, and you see nobody.
Well, as we approach, I'm gonna like lean into Lucy and say, basically say,
Let me do the talking.
well, I'm gonna start with saying, so we should expect that Lady Asana will have, is that how you say it? Asana?
Asane.
Asane?
Yes.
That the Lady Asane will also have her own terms for us to fulfill somehow. So we may have to try to do more negotiating.
I don't see how this is any of our problem.
It's not. But this is how court people work, how nobles work. This is why I left. Oh, God. Gods. Because I didn't want to deal with any of this.
Well,
but we should expect that she won't trust us either.
Totally ready.
What? No. I want to switch the song and it played a different.
is that me talking?
No.
Oh. Who is it?
This is a D&D stream, season 1, episode 7.
Excuse me.
Across
Wow.
the Dark Manor. I don't know.
I thought it sounded like Aaron Burke, so that's why I was. Well, it didn't sound like Hannah or.
Okay, so you approach the large doors of this thing, and as you do, halfway across the street, the 3 guards stop. And you are left to approach on your
Well, I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one for 70, because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Okay.
I'll just be the muscle.
I like it.
Did this die?
No?
The battery.
So we're just approaching. We're crossing the other side of the street. Dang it!
So you cross the street.
And are approaching the whatever big old doors, right?
Big old doors. Yep.
Does anyone approach us at the moment?
Nope.
guess.
It is.
Okay.
It is
Free and
interesting
clear?
between the busy streets and
Oh, I'm
the.
definitely farsighted. Weird. If you want to know if you're farsighted, just look at Kaleidoscope. Well, anyways.
It's not hers.
What?
Oh, there it is.
I'm starting to fade a little.
I know. I'm trying to get through it.
Is there a certain spot where you're trying to get us to?
Nope. Just trying to get you guys through the
Oh.
nobles part of the. So that way, next time when we meet, we don't have to like play.
All play,
We
yeah,
can be together.
together. Right. Okay. Let's go up to the doors and open them, or if no one opens them
Can we
for us.
knock?
Is it a knocking kind of door? Or can we just walk in?
Oh, wow, that's more open than I imagined. It's like Lord of the Rings
Enya.
open.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, not
cool.
Enya, but.
Yeah. So you approach the door, and as you guys are about to knock, the door opens, and a tall elf is standing there, and like nods you in.
These aren't mine.
You guys step in.
Yes.
Okay.
That came a cloud of the clan cloud.
What?
Highlander. I'm talking about cloud of the. I want to make the elves the Scottish race in this.
Cloud of the clan cloud.
I am.
I've never seen that.
My name is Arwen of Lothlorien.
Of the clan Lothlorien.
Why to come to Rivendell. Destroy it, Isildur! Isildur! You fucking cunt! What are you doing? That ring needs to go in the fire! Put it back! No! No, I really want the elves to be the fucking Scottish in this. I can't do it because the elves are the only traditional race in the whole setting, and I'm not fucking with it. Elves get to be elves.
Orcs that, I guess.
I can make elves orcs the Scottish. Orcs are the Americans. They're like the normal people.
Okay, well, surely there's some race that you can.
We watched a lot of it when Liam was teeny tiny.
It's so cheese. It's
Highlander,
so cheese.
as in the.
As in the
only
show.
one.
The Highlander. It's a show.
Oh.
From the 80s.
Oh, I don't know it then at all.
He wears the tightest pants. Holy gods.
He's good looking.
I mean, he's really fucking good looking. So it's not sad. Like he makes 80s clothes look good.
Wow.
No, they're hideous.
Wow.
It's cutting edge.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you enter.
Okay.
As you
So
do
we enter.
the tall elf turns to you and says, "Lady Persephone, come on in. Join us."
How do they know your name?
That is an excellent question.
And I don't get addressed.
Well, I'm just.
She doesn't care. She just sells armor.
Thank you. Very well.
So you
Follow
enter
them
the.
in.
So as you
We're
enter,
in the
it's
noble
like
area.
it's like this
I gathered.
super pristine, large, open area. It's
Kind
like
of.
almost exactly what you'd imagine like the Roman Senate to be, like with the down steps, and then above it's like this open, wide pavilion. So in the center it's like a big theater,
My
like
kitchen
the
was
old
clean before we
Colosseum,
started.
not Colosseum style, the old Greek style theaters, with the steps down to this wide central area. And this is where the parliament meets. This is like where the nobles all meet to make decisions and policy. And in the center of this area, in the large bowl at the middle, is a large, strangely draconic shape. You can't quite see it, but you do see two large, very large gossamer wings
What?
that are attached to this figure. You can't quite make it out. It's like 60 feet away still, so you guys aren't close enough to like perceive it entirely. But there are elves fucking everywhere in here, and they're like regal, but fucking armed to the teeth. These are like I said, the elves are like the only standard race in my whole setting. They are like what you see when you get to Rivendell, and when you get to the woods. Like they're all ready to go.
They all come from the Soviet. How long have they been here? We don't know.
I mean,
Since the elves all died.
Right.
They're
Okay.
super round.
So we're being led. Still,
yeah.
basically.
So they Are you
Parting
just gonna
ways
follow
to
them?
yeah.
Okay, so the elf nods you in the direction, and he leads you around and then down some steps into a path, and he leads you down towards the center. And as you get about halfway there, the wings just unfurl, and you see in the center of this standing on this perch dais is what looks like a wyvern. It is but it has the face of a humanoid-esque elven draconic mix with long pointing elven ears and the face is still scaled and it still has a bit of a snout, but it's much less pronounced than any other dragonborn or kobold. Back legs, but no front claws like a regular dragon would have, just wings. No, you know how some dragons have 4 legs and then the wings? There's no front legs on this. It's just the wings. So it goes back legs, wings.
Are his arms.
Like a bird.
I was gonna say almost like a pterodactyl.
Like most dragons, as you see them, have the 4 claws and then the wings on their back. This is like a pterodactyl. It's the back legs, wings.
I want to teach Amarilyn to make pterodactyl eyes.
Yeah, awesome.
She basically does already.
You see that this figure doesn't have a tail though. It's still humanish-esque. It's very strange, but it's this is the Lady Asane, and it is, and she's well like clothed, and she's clothed in like high elven garb, what you'd normally imagine, long like flowing white robes and all that. And as you approach, she doesn't have any hair though. It's just like the draconic mane, like the skin mane. And as you approach, she turns to you and she is like pale white with like golden flecks. And as she like sweeps her wings out, you can like they're like opaque, and they're almost opalescent, almost like mother of pearl through them. And she's like this beautiful, bright colored, almost opaque figure.
She's so shiny.
Yeah. And she turns her head to you and she goes in a very what?
Do you mean opalescent? Not opaque?
Yeah, I think you said that.
Yeah, I did say that, and that is the word I meant to say again. I just forgot it because apparently opaque is a. So one of the traits of Lim is she's supposed to use the wrong word for things, and apparently I was gonna have her mention it because I wrote it down that she was gonna say opaque, and then one of you were supposed to say don't you mean opalescent, but I totally forgot to attribute that to like her.
Like that just happened.
There we go.
Just pretend it happened. It would
Okay.
It'd been way better organically.
Would
What?
you like me in the opaqueness?
Apparently I decided to forego that because I only just now remembered that about Lim, but whatever. Anyway, so she turns to you and Lucy and Lim, and she says, Lady Persephone, crafters Lucy and Lim, welcome to our refuge. You notice that she doesn't have any kind of accent. It's totally generic. Very strange. Not elfish, not
anything.
Yes.
Thank you, Lady Asane.
Of course, I've heard only good things about you, Persephone.
About me?
Well, yes, about you.
From whom?
Well, your companion Alrith came through on her way heading back to the Elven city's end. Informed me of some of your adventures and regaled me with some of your more humorous endeavors. I must say, you and your friends sound like quite a handful.
We are. That's
I can imagine.
certain.
Not often does quite a collection of races and peoples gather for, well, much of anything. Everyone seems to prefer the company of their own kind.
Too true.
But not you.
No.
She's mostly just ignoring you, Lucy. And Lim.
As you can see...
She's asleep. Oh, nope, she opened her eyes.
As you can see, this is my companion, Lucy.
You're being ignored. Not most. You were greeted, and now you're being ignored. She's talking to Persephone. Although she's talking about Elrith. She's not
Have you
listening.
taught Ellie how to do that yet?
No.
You missed it. I was hoping you were going to be like,
So sorry.
She knows about Persephone because she knows Elrith.
I heard Elrith.
Oh, okay.
I heard that. I was like, clever.
Your turn. Sorry.
I was thinking clever in my head as I was half dreaming about braiding something.
I love you so much. Your dreams are awesome.
Oh wow, I can roll.
It wasn't
Hey.
a share, it was like a start.
Alright.
Yeah, that's a sheer roll, man.
Anyway,
She just said people prefer their own kind.
yes, too true. Yes, as you can see, my companions Lucy and Lim.
Yes.
Lucy and
She like graciously nods at you and then just turns back to Persephone.
My tail flicks.
Can it flick an adaptation?
I think it does.
Oh.
Are you like a cat with your tail?
Kinda.
You got like the little demon
That's cool.
heart-shaped tail.
Yeah, that's what I imagined
That's what I
too.
I didn't think about it until
I have a
now.
totally different image of Lucy in my head now, and I'm totally into it.
I love it. Sorry.
We'll have to catch you up on what happened earlier.
Oh,
anyway.
gosh.
I need to draw.
Oh, Jesus.
I need to draw Lucy.
Yeah. But Lucy and I, along with our companions Valken and
You may
Faye,
call me the
the anvil here and I.
Lucy, call me the anvil. Please, God. Just. Oh no. Let's be intimate. Please call me by the name I prefer.
My children.
It's like the. Do you prefer to be the big spoon or the little spoon? I'm a knife. I have a knife.
We have instructions from the Archdrake to inform all the citizens, including yourselves, that there will be an evacuation, or there is an ongoing evacuation right now to get out of the city from the invasion of the Slot.
Yes, we've heard. We've heard tell. There's a frenzy of activity. My brother is very engaged at the moment.
Yes, we just came from there.
Yes, we haven't had any trouble here ourselves, but we have chosen to gather our forces just in case dear Bennett decides that today's the day that he attempts to take what little remains to us.
Oh shit.
He seems to think something similar about you.
Oh, he's so full of vim and vigor. Always rushing around. He fancies himself a military man, you know. Not one of culture. Not one of art or beauty.
She was saying different words.
It's me. It's just me.
Supposed to be limb.
It's not supposed to be
Oh.
a dragon. It's supposed to be the little dwarf.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then she turns to you and she goes, not like you and I.
I suppose. Are you evacuating? Already?
We've, discussed the matter amongst ourselves and have decided that for the time being, it's to our benefit to not give my lovable brother an opening. And we've decided to hold our positions here. Should we need to retreat, we can leave via the North Gate and find refuge in the countryside.
I see. Well,
just FYI, we're gonna blow up the city.
the Archdrake has given orders for the Cobalt to blow up the city in... What was it again?
Matter of days.
A matter of days. Thank you.
Ah,
So there won't be anything left to hold for either of you.
her wings like furl a little bit, and you notice like her bones are like super long and thin here, and she can't like quite close her wings very much. Like it's just like he had like the stump foot and like the strange snout. She has like this disfiguring kind of quality. It's beautiful and graceful, but she's kind of stuck in this sort of position. But like she kind of curls in on herself a little bit. And I see.
That's why we're recommending that everyone get to the temple ward as soon as possible, so that we can all be teleported out before they blow it.
I see.
Will you go? And your people?
She kind of like, if she could stroke her chin, she'd be stroking her chin. She's thinking. She's staring off into space a little bit, and she like, with her wingtips, sort of like brushes this long fern, and sort of like feels like she contemplates. I am not certain how comfortable I am, even at the behest of my gracious father, with moving my entire people through my brother's territory to a supposed safe zone. We have an exit near us, and we are well acquainted with the resources and peoples of the countryside. It would have to be quite the convincing argument to make us leave the safety of our own area. She
Somehow I knew that you would say that.
What makes you say that? And this time when she smiles at you, like, her smile's a little too wide and her eyes are a little too narrowed.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a little bit more like...
You're...
It was very much a Kimber gesture. Me and Kimber do the same face.
Which one?
Just like the tilt and the...
Well, I'm trying to make it that way.
Fake smile.
I don't know what
Yeah, very like... Suddenly, she doesn't seem quite so open, and she seems a little more...
Kimber does it when she's having an attitude about something.
Oh, yeah. Teenagers, dude. Not a teenager, she's all grown up.
Me? But yeah.
Oh, really, honey?
Yeah. Anyways.
Your brother was much the same. He was also reluctant to go.
So you have seen my brother.
We have.
I said that a minute ago.
She, like, looks at you.
Lucy's just like so annoyed.
And then I think Persephone's gonna be like,
Lim is just like behind
I'm
both
like,
of you.
What?
Like Lim is just like she's like kind of behind Lucy a little bit at this point, kind of like she's not hiding, but she's kind of like inched a little bit behind
She's
this.
glad she's small.
Yeah, and she's kind of like peeking out around. She didn't meet with Lord Bennett either, and she's just a little bit like
Is she cute?
she's just a little bit like out of her depth. This is why Aaron came tonight. I know. And she's like a little out of her depth, and she like.
She's very clever with her hands, is what she said.
Jesus Christ. What is happening in my game? No, I will not run sex scenes for anyone. Work on romances if you really gotta have it, but we're not doing sexy scenes, none of that.
Come on, baby, we fun.
I'm not participating in torture, rape, or sex scenes. It's not my thing. That's a different kind of role play, and I have enough to do already. Thank you. I need to worry about this garbage.
My sleight of hands is not very good. I would not be very good at very many things.
oh my god.
So she is like grinning widely at you, and she is like, so you have been to see my brother.
We had, yes.
And what are his thoughts on this matter?
Oh, lordy.
He seems to think similarly to you. He also does not want to leave.
Oh, well then.
To retain his holdings.
As
you do.
And to what degree do you work for him? I can reward you much better. My favor is great, and my father holds me in much higher esteem than my vivacious brother. And I think, as one of our blood might know, that despite your more common blood, you have a touch of culture. I think you could fit well here, should you choose.
Oh, that's so kind.
Thank you.
So kind.
I try to be magnanimous with those who have been in the presence of my brother.
Well, regardless of whether you or your brother leaves, Lucy and Lim and I will be leaving with the rest of the group in the temple ward. But thank you.
Of course. Well, I suppose if you can't give me any assurances that we will be safe, then we must part ways.
What assurances are you looking for?
My brother didn't send you here without an offer. He would not miss such an opportunity. What does he want?
Your brother wanted for you and your folks to go first. To leave first.
Her eyebrows like raise and she kind of like, oh, I see. And let me guess, he would follow us on our way out.
Indeed.
And there's like this small like ripple of laughter on the around the elves that are like in the like 5 or 6 elves that are like around her. They're like nicer dressed, and they're like they seem to be more like officers. Although there's not really like a solid military regimen here. They seem to be more of the in charge kind. And one of the elves steps forwards and speaks, and he says, "He would have us secure him passage, even though he has many more troops that are far more suited to the task of clearing ways." And an elf from across the way says, "If it's true," and she seems much more earnest and much more like, I wouldn't say concerned, but she seems much more like focused on like actually solving the problem. "But if it's true that they're going to be destroying the city, it might be in our best interest to move to the Temple Ward. At least then we can stay near the Archdrake and his holdings. If we're going to lose everything we have here, we can retreat to the countryside, but we would be losing contact with the Archdrake entirely. We have no Dragonborn here." And there's like this moment of pause. And like this.
Indeed. And have you heard, my lady, that your father was injured in the initial battle with the Slod?
Injured?
Indeed. Gravely.
I
Death
see.
Slod.
There was a death slot in the city.
Yes. From the Slod heart.
Oh, I want to start playing as Lucy now. Like that. No, I'm kidding.
I see. And she seems very like perturbed, and she like, "What has become of the Slod? Tell me." "We received no news except that Bennett is holding the bridges and the ward is secure. What can you tell us?"
The Archdrake gave myself and my companions each directives to, including, side note, what is the Coltane, what is his like official title? Commander, including Commander Coltane. We've all taken different sections of the city to warn the citizens in all the wards.
I see. And
Coltane has the agricultural areas.
it's called the Bounty Ward.
The Bounty Ward, thank you.
You're good.
I need to know these things, I just don't know what they are.
Throw it down here. Bounty Ward.
The Bounty Ward
And the Edda Ward.
and the Edda Ward and
The Temple Ward.
well, yeah, but my other 2 companions took the
Lotus Ward?
Lotus Ward
The Dusk Ward.
and Dusk Ward, and then Lucy and I have been through the Deep Ward and
The Shade Ward. And the Dawn Ward. And the Artisan Ward. And now you're in the
where's
Crane
E?
Ward.
Wow.
Wait,
E
what?
is right here.
Oh,
E
there
is
it
the middle of the district
okay.
here. Shade and then
We
Deep.
have been through the.
Sorry.
I'm just gonna potentially list them all, whatever.
Yeah.
Right, and finally here into the Crane Ward. You are our last stop before we ourselves head with any remaining civilians into the Temple Ward to be teleported away.
Because you trusted that they would be able to last the longest.
So, I see that we were obviously of lesser import in your tasks.
No, not of less import, but merely of greater strength and resilience.
Go ahead and roll a persuasion.
That was a good one.
I don't think I've had you roll a single dice.
No, you haven't. We've been persuading like the whole time. Oh, God.
Lucy helps.
8 plus, what's your persuasion?
6.
Oh, 14, okay. Okay. She nods and she... It is well known that we, of the nobility, hire a much higher standard of protection
Indeed.
than... And the elves all around her, like, nod graciously. Then the commoners in the other wards are allotted from my esteemed father. And she looks kind of like actually sad for a moment. She's like concerned. If you hadn't told her that her father wasn't like in danger, but was hurt, she'd probably be a lot more like upset. But she seems like thoughtful rather.
Indeed.
Great danger.
side note. Can you guys remind me how much was he injured? It was grave, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I
It
thought.
was like
It was great.
it was like last.
Because I was gonna say
5%
more
of his health
details,
points.
but I can't remember enough about it to say, to tell her.
Lucy wants to roll for insight to see if she can use this as an angle to persuade her. I'm kidding. That's what I'm saying. That I want to play as Lucy now.
At this point, I'm just imagining Lucy's annoyed that she's been ignored, and she's like walked over and she's like
super insightful. I don't know why she's not like.
she's probably over examining like the elven armor. She's like, ding. She's taller than all these elves.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just imagining her and Lim are just kind of like listening, but not really engaged. The lady isn't really interested in being engaged. I decided that way because I knew Sarah's gonna fall asleep. I love you, honey. She's gone. Superstar. So she looks and she listens to your story of how you went from each ward, and she's appeased that you were trusting that she was going to be. She still seems a little annoyed, but she's not upset as it were. Super diabetic all fucking time. And she leans in and she goes, I greatly desire to be in the company of my father during his trying times. I will give you this. I do not trust my brother to not try to ambush us as we pass. So, I will align my guards to the rear and sides of my caravan if we head to the Temple District. The way, the North Road, is secure until the bridge, so we've heard, where there is dense, deep fighting.
Yes.
If
So I've
you
heard.
lead the way, and she looks at Lucy and your dangerous-looking companion, and she looks down at Lim, can secure our path, we will defend ourselves from any theoretical treachery my brother plans. That, I think, should suffice. That way, I have the assurance of knowing that my elite guard have a plan of protection and we have a way of retreat. It's simple to turn around and make our back lines our front if our fighting force is there. But if we move our troops to the front, that leaves us exposed to treachery from behind. Do this for me, and I will lead your way. And I will lead my dear brother Benneth, and maybe he'll keep following me like the dog he might prove himself to be. What do you say?
I shall consult with my companions.
As you say.
Thank you. And so
So
then
she
we'll just
turns away, and
yeah,
as she
and then
turns,
we're
like
going
her
to-
wing passes over your head and closes off. So now it's almost like a room with wings where she's facing these elves, and you and Lucy and Lim are out of it. Go ahead and
we'll pretend
we'll discuss.
that Lucy is conscious.
Not anything.
Lucy conscious. It's just that
Kind of.
her
But basically,
Player isn't.
So
AFK.
So here's a couple thoughts that I have based
okay.
upon just what I've heard so far. Wait, I should let you talk.
Oh.
I'm gonna shut up.
You can metagame after she said it.
Yeah,
Got it.
I was gonna say I'm gonna shut
going
up.
I was going to say essentially say to Lucy that it sounds pretty good to me. If she will come with, then so will Lord Benneth and his people, as long as we take the front. Now, I think between you and me, if the two of them actually attack each other, we abandon them and say, good luck. And off we go. Because I don't care about them. They can fight all they want, but the city will be blown up in 3 days. They can do what they will. They're the Archdrake's children.
A lot of
He
force,
can
though. A lot of
Yeah.
power.
manage them.
I mean, Benneth has 1,000 troops
That's-
under his command, and she has.
I got like 50 people out, so you know.
Yeah.
Right.
She has a good probably 500.
Right. We could use their might.
Poltain does have an 8,000 man
Right.
force,
We
but
could use their might, but they clearly hate each other, so it seems as fair as we can hope for. And also, I don't know if I need to clarify with her or with you as the DM. She just means that she wants us leading, but she's not like making us clear a path.
Front lines.
You guys need to make sure that when her people arrive to pass, that there will be like a small guard to help out, but it's not going, and it'll be whenever Benneth's forces offer to help when you arrive to push out. But
Because
you're
they're
not
guarding here.
But she's asking you to fight your way from the bridge to the entrance of that red line there. It's a short distance, but it is where the fighting is sort of...
we have to go there anyway.
You do. But she's
Well, I don't
asking
see
you
why
to
not.
fucking do it rather than have, like, help. So you're gonna have maybe a squad of archers, elven archers, and then whatever Bennett's troops you can convince to come with you.
Seems like the best we can hope for. I know nobles. This might be as good as it gets.
Do you want my advice? Or
Sure.
do you want...
I don't
or do
know
you
how
wanna
to,
make a
but see,
decision?
I'm trying to play my character well, but I don't know how some of that works in
Right.
reality, so I therefore cannot
The
play it
mechanics
that
of the
way.
game. So
Yeah.
basically, there will be a combat. No matter what
Right.
you do, there's going to be a combat. But whether it's going to be a easy, medium, hard, or deadly encounter depends on what you agree and what you can collect. You have navigated a point where you have a potential truce between these two parties. So you could have a very easy combat if things go well. If you convince the right people to join you, if you on your way from between that building and the bridge, if you can convince some people and some and this will just be like roles and what you guys are like choosing to look out for if you're gonna seek out people that you have met or have seen, and between them there, and then it's gonna be no matter if it's gonna be deadly or difficult or whatever rating it's gonna be just a couple of die rolls to see how you guys manage and how many people you lose and whether either you or Persephone or Lucy or Lim is hurt or killed and how much damage, how effective you guys are. So it's going to be like a few rolls, general combat. Like it's not going to be like this intense blow by blow combat that you get with like the smaller stuff. It's going to be like a large scale battle. Yes, Aaron Burke, with your hand up. What do you need?
You're a bard.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you can do to prepare because this next time is going to be pretty intense as far as these two people that hate each other and stuff like that. What you need to do is you need to inspire Lucy, it's because she's already very proficient in persuasion. So you need to spend some. I would recommend you doing inspiring her in order to make a persuasive argument, because Lucy's not a talker, but what she is what she sounds like she is her character has a way of making things ring true in very small ways. That way.
She's got a very strong personality. Charisma is actually like force of will and force of personality rather than being like super like talky. That's only like a very small niche of it. It's literally like how forceful are you and how effective is that forcefulness.
Right, exactly. Because right now, a lot of times people think of persuasion as just like somebody being talked into something, but sometimes people just have a way of bringing something true, and it sounds like it's true for them. Anyway, that being said, she's very persuasive. Sounds like he's a little bit more of a army type anyway, so they'd probably be a little bit more receptive to somebody like Lucy. So I would recommend coming up with some sort of course of action on how you can get more help from him that's gonna be very difficult. But use your inspiration to Lucy and saying you got this, and say some inspiring words or whatever in order to give her that bonus.
Like right now?
Yeah, you can do it right now. I mean, if she holds
She'll get a
inspiration.
roll, and then she'll get to add a d4 to it. Oh, a 1d4 roll to it, and Aaron can roll those for her. If it's just general persuasion.
As in to convince Lady Osane? Or you would rather convince
That's up to you. I don't know this
bandits.
backstory like you do. That's just my general observations.
No, I think I would agree that if you were to pick between the two of them
Or you could do it
when they're
to
together.
people you meet along the way. Also, you have bardic abilities like...
Yeah, you would definitely want to use your like magnificence once you get to the first beginning of the battle, whatever that's called.
Oh. Mantle of Majesty?
Yes,
One word
absolutely.
command, though.
No, not that one. It's the one where you
Wondrous
turn
in appearance?
Yes, that one. Where you transform and you and some like of your frontline people.
Yeah.
You can walk past people
Right.
and then just own up on them.
Well, my other thought was that eventually, if we do meet up potentially with the two leaders, if they're together, I don't know if it would work on them because of whatever their powers are, but I could also try to enthrall them, because if they're not charmed, then they don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you can also like play inspiring music as you go and see if you can gather
Right.
like troops and people. I
Okay.
mean, like, and then you could do
And I'll do
your
that,
one
too.
word command could
Yeah,
be.
absolutely.
I'll do
I mean,
all
you
the
could do,
things.
yeah, you can do whatever you'd like too, but you got lots of abilities. This is like.
This is playing well to a bard's thing.
I just gotta know how to use them.
No, I mean it's just giving you the opportunity to use whatever you can think of to play it out. It may or may not have been designed that way.
Right.
No big deal. Whatever you decide to do. Beep bop boop. I am not a bot. Did you try some of the cake and berries and cream?
I didn't do any of those things. I already ate way too much stuff that I shouldn't be eating.
Sure.
So
Yeah, how's your mom?
very good. I was
I want more.
Yeah, me too, always.
I went over there and I was like,
Get out of the kitchen. Get out of the kitchen.
I'm like, oh, spaghetti. Oh, salad. That's good. I can have some of this. Oh, well, I can't really have the salad because there's a whole bunch of stuff I can't have in it.
Oh, did she use it all?
Yep.
That wench. I love you.
See, that's why I didn't have any, because, without cream.
No. It's not quite as good. Excuse me, fingers. Just tight.
Your excuse fingers. Anyway, that being said,
You got some things you can do. You got some options.
Yeah.
you have some options that you can do to really maximize this.
I really like, though, one of my favorite things about this session so far is that you have, like,
Roleplay the heck out of it.
yeah, like, you've used role-playing,
Tried.
like, you and Lucy have used role-playing, like, the whole time.
Try.
And your arguments have been so convincing and your discussions have been so, like, well thought out and discussed and, like,
That's great, because I'm just making it up.
ambassador. Well, yeah, that's literally all it is. But, like, because of that, like, I was planning on having you guys make tons of, like, intimidation checks and, like, and, like, rolls for, like, charisma and persuasion and
I've been
intimidation
too
and
on
stuff.
point.
But you guys have been, like, on it, and you guys are, like, reacting properly, and I'm like, I don't need to make you roll for this. You know what your characters are doing. You know what to say. You know how to, like, be intimidated and still be like, we have a fucking job to do.
Isn't
like-
it funny to be like, I feel so proud?
It's so good, though. This is what D&D, this is, like, okay. Yeah.
Or
I'm
just like when you
side
roll
note.
really well, like how proud you feel, even though it has nothing.
Right, exactly. Well, that's the thing is that, like, it's still, like, your character
Yeah.
doing stuff, you know? You should be proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah. So,
So you're discussing all this with Lucy.
right. Yeah, as long as we're not expected to be the sole fighters.
That's all up to what you do after this?
Yeah. I think we can make it work. Because this way we can get her and her people to the Temple Ward, as the Archdrake asked, instead of randomly going out the North Gate. I mean, although, whatever. And Lord Bennett will come, and whether they clash or not, we will get ourselves and whoever we run into through the bridge. We have to anyway.
I am Anvil.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. The anvil.
No, please. I just imagine like James Bond, you know, like I'm Anvil, Lucy the Anvil, you know, like just like,
and can I just
or like
say,
don't call me Lucy.
I love how
You can call
like
me.
you were saying about the role playing. Like we've gotten like you missed some of this, and we'll have to tell you about it, Aaron. But we're all the way to the point where like we've had a few interactions,
Oh my God,
and
yeah.
now Persephone is like, really, like,
The way that Valken and
You're very charismatic. Stop.
yeah.
You're very charismatic,
You'll
like
be
a
better-
cheese grater is
You'll be more
charismatic.
charismatic if you're quiet.
it's like Valken and Faye.
Yeah, it's very much. I like this though. It creates group tension.
Uh-huh.
Different methods, different madness. Okay.
So we've discussed and we've huddled in.
Okay.
So then I'll return and she's turned away though, hasn't
Yeah,
she?
she's turned away slightly. So she's
So-
only turned away like a 45-degree angle, but like her wings
Right.
are like
So I'll
out of
I'll say, Lady
Asane.
Asane. See, I always want to say it wrong.
Should I get like little name tags? Like
Maybe.
Love, and you can be like, and I'd be like, this one or this one or this
Right.
one. I'd love that, and then I can.
Well, I think it's because in my head I originally heard Asana,
Oh.
and so my brain keeps trying to make. I want to say that, and then I go, nope, Asane. Anyway, okay, so I'll say, Lady Asane.
And after a moment, like the voice is dim, and like the wing like lifts up a little bit, and she turns and like puts it behind you, in between Lucy and Liam, and gently pushes, pulls you in, so it's like just behind you, like almost touching you, and you are now included in this group. Although you are, it's almost like she's trying to like pull you in closer away from your group, but she's also like not going to physically touch you to force you in.
Right.
Sorry.
Aaron has a question.
Are you going to try to come up with even a little bit of a counter offer? Because she was like, here's my compromise.
I don't know what that would be.
Like, I need 10 people, whatever.
Right. Like, yeah,
Only-
maybe. So,
Sorry.
yeah. No,
I'm
it's
just
a good
asking.
point. So we will accept your terms. Although,
Her eyebrows are like, yes, dear.
It hushes.
I don't intend to be on the front lines by myself. Will you offer some soldiers to come with? As
We
well
will
as to
help.
guard your flanks and your
Lucy
behind?
Lucy says, we can't help you if we're all dead.
We're all dead. Behind the wing, like echoes over the top.
My companion has a point.
Go ahead and roll a persuasion check. One. Oh.
Shit. I knew it wasn't a good roll. It really didn't rumble around at all in my hand. You know what I mean? Like when you can feel it and it just goes straight out instead of really rolling.
So as you do this, Lady Sane is already like shaking her head and like laughing, and she like opens her mouth to speak, and the female elf that spoke before steps forward and says, "My Lady Asane." And she like snaps her mouth shut and like looks over. Her eyebrows, if they could even go higher, they would. And she like, "Yes, Captain." And the lady like salutes, same hand over heart salute that you saw in Bennett sing. And she like bows slightly, and she says, "I volunteer to take my hunter squadron out with these adventurers. It is our duty to ensure your path is clear, and I feel that entrusting this task to," and she like gives you a glare that's not really a glare. It you as a noble know this is sort of a bit of play acting, and she kind of like glares at you a little bit, and she's like, "Is not to be trusted with the safety of your path. If you will allow me, I shall take my own personal elite troop and follow along, just to make sure that you are secure in your path." And Lady Asane like looks at her and like smiles. She knows what the fuck. But it's been so graciously presented to her that she would lose face maybe in front of all these commanders, and she like nods and she says, "Did you have something
I was
to
going to say,
interject?"
it would be so very magnanimous.
She like turns and looks at you, and she turns back to the female elf, and she says, "I require half of your elite troop to make sure that my own person is safe, but you may lead your most elite troops. Assign your second to be my personal attendant." And the elf like nods and like bows very deeply, and like without saying anything else, she like turns and gives you like a nod, and then like walks off, and like doesn't say anything else, and she like walks through the gap.
Well, I like her mostly.
I like her most.
And so she's gone, and Lady Asane says, turns to you and says, "There, you have some assistance. Is there anything else I can be doing for you, dear?"
No, I think we're set.
You've done enough.
Thank you for being such a excellent servitor of my father's wishes. I wish you well on your journey. And her wing like sweeps over you, and you are like outside of your.
Like ruffles my.
Yeah,
almost
like
ruffles.
just, it doesn't touch, but it just like the wind just like pulls your hair like forward a little bit, and it just like. And Lucy's just like, or Lucy's properly like actively like tapping her foot, and it's like armored foot, so it's like tink 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 tink, and Liam just looks like she's almost got her hand like on her dagger, and she's like, "I don't really like what's happening here."
Let's go then, I suppose.
Okay, so
Except, we need to send a message to Lord Benneth, however that's done around here.
Okay. So as you guys exit, you guys are discussing how let's go back to Lord Benneth. As you exit the building, the three pikemen who are standing, who escorted you here, are standing still in the middle of the street.
Oh, I thought they left.
Nope, they are still like waiting for
All right.
you.
So
they're waiting like on the far side of the street, but they are like still there. They were just retreating back,
Right.
like away from the. And you notice now as you leave that there are like elven archers on the balconies above the doors. Like they're behind the windows, so you can't see them, but they're there. And the pikemen seem to like know that. That's probably why they stopped in the middle of the street. And so you leave, and the elf like nods to you, and then like closes the door. Like there's no like goodbye or anything. It's just. And as you are leaving, a small group of there is the elven woman, and she now has a full quiver and like 2 long hunting daggers and a bow, like a beautifully engraved elven bow. And she's followed by 5 elves of similar garb and stature to her. And they sort of jog up behind you, and she like puts her fist to you, and she says, "Lady Persephone," and she turns towards Lucy, and she says, like, "Anvil, we are at your service. Please send us where you will." You have your first followers.
Yes. Thank you. Will you wait here a moment? We're going to speak with the pikemen across the street.
We have no quarrel with Lord Benneth's soldiers.
You don't?
It's a little bit of the Lady Asane's wishes that the pikemen and the soldiers stay on his territory. And she like is being very political about her word choices, and all of the elves behind her kind of like snicker. She's still in the employ of Lady Asane, and she's not going to badmouth her mistress. But
that's why I'm saying you could stay here for a moment.
We have no trouble following you if you need to enter Lord Benneth's territory. They will not harm us.
Soldiers are soldiers.
All right. If you say so. All right, so then we're going to go to the pikemen.
Okay.
I was not expecting to have to go back to the diplomatic embassy, but I suppose.
So you approach the pikemen, and as they do, the one with like he's got like the most stripes on his breastplate looks, and he nods at you, and he turns towards the captain, and he says, "Captain Alien, it's been a while." And she walks up to him and she nods and she says, "Corwin," and they like know each other. They're
Mm-hmm.
Not friends, but they,
Yeah.
soldiers on a border.
Right.
And
How's the missus? No.
the pikeman turns to you and says, "Did you secure our passage?"
We did. However, I would like to request of Lord Benneth if he would offer some assistance as Lucy and I and the captain and her fellows that you see here secure the initial passage for everyone.
Ah. She sent you out as the vanguard, did she?
She did indeed.
It's not the first time we've seen that. Let's see. He looks around and he turns to his fellow guard and he says, "Bolt, I need you to head down to the bridge on the North Road. Tell them that there's going to be a vanguard party pushing through soon." And he turns and he says, "I shall carry word to Lord Benneth. You'll have troops meet you along the way, I'm fairly certain." And he turns towards his other companion. He says, "Round them up, will you?" And they turn and they immediately just break and they head off in their own directions. One of which is heading straight down, he's heading right over towards this way. One of them heads down this way. The other one in the Corwin heads down towards the embassy, and they are splitting up. And you are left there with Lucy, Lim, and 6 elves.
Can we maybe end there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Then we can pick back up when...
Sounds like you guys are almost there too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is literally the same final push that basically you guys had to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly. It's actually not even... Yeah. It's a bridge fight.
As long as
They get a bridge fight too.
As long as no swords randomly come back to life and attack everybody, you'll be fine.
You get a bridge fight.
Yeah. Although, how many sessions has it taken everybody respectively? Did it take you guys a few, fewer?
We did 2.5.
You guys did 3. You guys 3.5. You guys had 3 independent sessions and then a half session that we did.
How many have we done?
This is your third.
This is third. Oh, okay. We probably have at least...
Yeah, so you guys will get, maybe... I'm going to much more streamline it. With them, I made them fight every single round. Every single step was fought across the entire way. And it would have been much more gruesome and long if Hannah hadn't pulled her crazy-ass ridiculous stunt. But...
Right.
You guys are going... Okay. It's a different scenario. It's a different thing.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be several dice rolls. And then it'll be basically as you can convince people. The big challenge for you guys is to gather troops, if you can, to get there to help. But you're on a good start for that.
I'm telling you, as a bard, just sing your way through it.
It sounds good to me.
I
forget about being able to do stuff like that sometimes. Yeah. I just end up thinking about it as okay, here I am.
Yeah. And that's what I mean.
I
know that this is weird, but I love that there's a bunch of abilities that are non-combat abilities, and that's great. But the best part about D&D is that if you roleplay your characters well enough, those abilities just come out naturally. You're just can I sing to soothe this guy? Or you did. You guys were making persuasion checks, but you guys were just being persuasive. You don't need to make rolls for things that you're doing well. If you guys wanted to have combats on the floor here with your physical bodies, I wouldn't make you roll for those either. But I don't think that's a very fun way to play, right? But if you're in a social situation and you're obviously being convincing and you're obviously being earnest and playing your character and pursuing your goal, making you roll for something like that after you've made a super convincing argument doesn't make any damn sense.
My threshold would be 5.
I might be okay.
I was gonna say, as a DM, I would probably still be roll for persuasion, and then I'm as long as you get a 5, as long as you get a 3.
Yeah, that's the DC thing.
Yeah.
There's lists of. I have a difficulty thing. It's just very easy DC 5, easy DC 10, medium DC 15. I'll be honest. I set most of my DCs at 15, just because I want things to be hard. But I didn't make you roll for hardly anything because you guys were making good cases.
Yeah.
At best, I thought about the mechanic of being okay, are you going to try and persuade him? Okay, don't persuade him yet. Roll to see, and then if you get a low number, I'm make a bad argument. But I don't really think that's very fair.
No.
It takes the role play out of the...
No, that's a bad way to play.
Yeah, because then it's you screwed up. Now you have to act it out. Nobody wants that. That's not fantasy.
It's not as
that's
fun.
bullshit.
Yeah.
And
that's not an RPG at that point.
Yeah, well, it's not the fantasy of like I want to be
Yeah.
Mhm.
escaping. I want to be playing a fantasy.
Yeah.
It takes all the fun out of it. You know?
Right.
Yep.
It's like I do